The Sulu archipelago is a string of islands nestled between the Philippines and Borneo. For centuries, its dense coastal forests, hidden coves, and unpredictable tides acted as a natural fortress. The people who mastered these waters called themselves the Tausug, or people of the current. Long before European galleons arrived, they dominated the Sulu Sea as wealthy traders and fierce maritime warriors. When the Spanish arrived in the 16th century, they documented encounters with these warriors. Illustrated manuscripts like the Boxer Codex show Tausug fighters clad in imported silks and armed with deadly scimitars, pointing to an already wealthy and interconnected civilization. Over the next 300 years, as foreign empires brought increasingly advanced weaponry to these shores, the Tausug began recording these encounters in formal narrative songs called kissa. These ballads functioned as a shared record, allowing the community to track their history through melody. By turning historical conflicts into performable poetry, the community preserved a specific version of their identity that the colonial record could not touch. To see how these stories actually functioned on the ground, we have to look at their two greatest heroes. Before the Sultanate's centralized power, Tausug society was organized into independent community states known as the Banwa. The leader of a Banwa was the Panglima, a local chieftain and protector. Because families lived in dispersed settlements, often in timber houses raised high on stilts near the water, a highly localized and strict defense strategy was a matter of daily survival. Enter Panglima Munggona. In the early kissa traditions, Munggona is celebrated as the ultimate guardian of customary laws, known as adat. The songs describe him defending ancestral land rights by battling a mix of mythic monsters and early foreign invaders. His legend established the baseline archetype of the Tausug warrior, the paternal, fiercely loyal leader who shields his people from outside disruption. Fast forward to the early 20th century. The American military arrives, imposing new taxes and enacting the Pearl Fishing Law of 1904, which stripped native divers of their traditional economic livelihoods. This economic dispossession triggered a rebellion led by a man named Jikiri. According to American colonial logs and journalists of the era, Jikiri was nothing but a bandit and a pirate. Colonial writers even claimed his hostility was driven by psychological insecurity over a physical deformity, an abnormally large eye. The Tausug singers stripped away the colonial smears. In the modern kissa, Jikiri emerges as a superhero. The ballads describe him using advanced weaponry, superhuman speed, and tactical genius to humiliate the massive American colonial apparatus. The historical reality ended violently in July 1909. Cornered in an extinct volcanic crater on Pation Island, Jikiri and his small band of followers were wiped out by a massive American blockade that included naval gunboats and hundreds of troops. Yet, in the oral epics, this defeat is entirely rewritten. The singers turned a battlefield loss into a legendary tale of a martyr who chose death over submission, outsmarting imperial attempts to erase him from history. This reframing is driven by parang sabil, or holy struggle. It operates as a psychological tool, filtering brutal defeats into cultural victories. Through this ritual and song, ordinary men are transfigured into persistent symbols of indigenous sovereignty, living in the Tausug imagination long after battle's end. These were real people fighting real wars of survival. The songs ensured that Tausug resistance fighters would outlive the empires trying to conquer them. The power of these songs is highly potent, and it lasted well into the modern era. During the Philippine martial law period in the 1970s, military officials actively banned these traditional ballads from public radio broadcasts in Sulu. The authoritarian state feared the ancient music. They recognized the fierce anti-colonial sentiment embedded in the kissa was a direct threat to central government control. The epics of Panglima Munggona and Jikiri function as active defense mechanisms, continuously performed to maintain the social memory and sovereignty of the Sulu archipelago. To explore more fascinating ways cultures preserve their history, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive.